Sechta Bava basra, Daf Kuf Hey Amud Aleph, starting from Kuf Daler Amud Beis, 2 lines from the bottom. The Mishnah. Sagt the Mishnah, Mida Bechavel Ani Meichalach. If he sold the Meicha says, I'm selling you a certain measurement, but Bechavel with a rope, meaning exact. And then he finishes off, Hein Chas Hein Yasa. Then he says, more or less. Let's say he told him he's selling him a base core. He said bechavel. Normally bechavel means exact, but then he finished off hein chasa hein yasa, more or less. Bitl hein chasa hein yasa mida bechavel. He says that you take his lashon hachrein. You can hold on to the last lashon, and the last lashon he said more or less, and it's mevatel the lashon that he said at the beginning mida bechavel, which would have meant exact. And if it was a drop less, then the halacha would be he would have to deduct the lekeach. He would have to deduct from the price for the lekeach. Or if it was more, the lekeach would have to return it. But he since he ended off hein chas hein yaser, more or less. So then we said that it goes by up to Reva Kav. He's Michael. What's if he said that the reverse, hein chas hein yaser, more or less, and then he ended off mida bechavel? Says the Mishnah, Bitel mida bechavel, the lashon of mida bechavel is mavatel, since that's the last lashon, hein chas hein yaser. The lashon that he said more or less, meaning now we go according to the last lashon, which is mida bechavel, that has to be exact. And if he gave him a drop less, let's say in the base chord, then he has to deduct the price for the lekeach. Rabbi Abba Mamel said the name of Rav. Oh, I didn't finish off the words in the Mishnah. Divri bananas, those are the words of bananas. And Rabbi Abba Mamel said the name of Rav that the Chavedim argued on bananas, who says that you tafis the lashon achrein, that you go according to the last lashon. According to the Chavedim, it doesn't work that way. We don't go after the last lashon. Rather, it's a suffix, and since it's a suffix, mammon amut b'suffix, we go according to who's. Then you divide it. It's mammon amut b'suffix, and you divide it. In fact, what is he coming to teach us? That the Chavedim argue on bananas. Tanina, we already learned this in the Mishnah Bab Metzia, that the Chavedim of bananas argue on him. Mais mitzipuri. There was a story in Sipari where one rented out a bathhouse from his chava for 12 dinarim, golden dinarim per year, and then he finished off the lashon dina zahav lechodesh, 1 dinar per chodesh, and that year was a ibayah, it was 13 months. So if you go according to the first lashon that he rented the merchatz from his friend for 12 golden dinarim for the year, that would include even the 13th month. But since he ended off saying dinar zav lachedesh, so maybe you would have to pay now. According to bananas, you would have to pay for the 13th month because the first lashon achrein. And the story came before and they said that you divide the 13th month, because since we're mesupik, which lashon is the right, which lashon did he really mean? So therefore, did he mean 12 zehuvim for the year, which would include the 13th month, or did he mean dinar zav lechedesh, which he would have to pay the masker for the 13th month, because he said per dinar per month. So you see the fetish that Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, Rabbi Yosi, Paskin Yachleiku, and they argue on bananas. Says, so why do we need our Mishnah to tell us this? Why do we need Rabbi Mamel to say that the Chavedim argue on bananas? And if from the Mishnah over there, I would have been able to I would have been able to say, there, I would say that he would have to return, meaning that mitzad echad you could say the masker said dinar lachedesh, and he's coming to retract from the original lashon that he said 12 zehuvim for the year, meaning that he's retracting that he wants for the 13th month separately as well. And we could also learn that he was just explaining. He says it's 12 zehuvim for the year, and b'derech klal when you rent for the year, you pay at the end of the year. But since he said at the end of the Lashon Din Azav LaChedesh, maybe he wanted to be paid Mida Chedesh, every Chedesh separately. And that's how we could explain it. So Lav Davka, he meant to retract and say that per Chedesh you have to pay another dinar, and if there's a 13th month, you pay the extra dinar. But over here in our Mishnah, the Vadakadabe, over here for sure we have to say he retracted, because they're contradictory. Either you meant exact, Mida Bechevel means exact, not a cinch less, and Pachsa Yes means it could be less up to Reva Kapersa. So that's Bestira. Which one is it? Mida Bechevel, or is it Pachsa Yesa? So I'm a since over here it's for sure retraction because it's contradictory, and whatever he said at the end is contradictory to the first words. So maybe Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, Rabbi Yossi wouldn't argue on bananas and would say Tfeis Lashon Achrein. Only over here there was a suffix because you were able to explain that it's not contradictory. That Din Azav L'Chedesh means that instead of paying fully at the end of the year, Din Azav L'Chedesh means he pays monthly. Kamash One comes this Mishnah and teaches us that even in such a case, our Mishnah, where it's contradictory and we have to say retracted, nevertheless, Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, Rabbi Yossi will hold that you divide it. Versus bananas that says Tveis Lashon Achrein, you go according to the last Lashon, and the last Lashon was Din Azav L'Chedesh, you would have to pay for the Ibayah. Rabbi Yehuda said in Mishmol, Zu, that this Lashon, when it says Zu, Divrei B'Nahanis, these the last again. This that we hold like the words of bananas. These are the last words, meaning that's the ikar, the divrei bananas. Here you have a different shita. The Chachamim say over here that we go according to Yad Meicha al Yena, and it goes according to the Ratzon of the Meicha. And if the Meicha already got paid in full, so then the halacha would be that by whichever case you want to take the merchatz by the basra merchatz, if he paid already for the 13th month, or by the kur, he sold him a base kur and he said mida bechevel, and then he said pachsa yesa. So in the case if the lekeich paid him full, then we say, hey, you paid him full, and so therefore he doesn't have to deduct anything. He meant pachsa yesa. If the lekeich didn't pay him full, so the lekeich is a musik. So then we say he said mida bechevel, and he has to return the karka or pay extra, because the yad of the meicha is al yena, but we go according to whoever is the musik. So, like we said, if the meich is the musik, if he already got fully paid, then we'll say that the lashon, we go according to lashon that he said, if he got fully paid, that it was pachsa yesa more or less. Even though he gave him less, he doesn't have to give him back the money because we claim that the lashon, we go according to the lashon of pachsa yesa. But if the lekeich didn't pay yet, and let's say the meicha gave him too much karka, so then we say that he said befedish mida bechevel. Because so it depends who's the musik. Okay, so this was the chacham. Zu from this lashon zu divrei bananas is mashma that's the shita bananas, but v'shmul v'lois v'delei. But Shmuel himself doesn't hold like bananas that twice lashon achrein. In fact, you might really. But Rav Shmuel both said, B'shleishim, kur b'shleishim, if the Meicha said, I'm selling you a kur, which is 30 sa, for 30 slayim, ani meichlach, I'm selling it to you. He could even back out by the last sa, because he sold them as a package, 30 sa together as one. And if he didn't give him the full 30 sa, he could back out even by the last sa. But what's if he said b'shloishim sa and b'selani b'shloishim? He said kur b'shloishim, a kur for 30 slayim, and then he ended off saying sa b'selani mechalach, and then I'm selling you every sa for a selah. So we say Rishon Kana, that the first ones that he already took from the saw, he's already Kana, and he cannot back out because he's used the word saw besela, that he's selling it in the singularly. So you see, Rav and Shmuel hold that the teif is lashon achrein, because Shmuel says befreidish Rishon Kana. That means you go according to the last lashon because he used the word saw besela and therefore the first ones that he took is already that he was meishach is already his, because the last lashon was he was selling it individually. And here we said zu means that he doesn't hold like bananas. I'm thinking about it. Zu is svidalei. Only zu means that these are the words of bananas. Svidalei, and Shmuel holds like him. In fact, what do we svidalei? Does Shmuel hold like him? Shmuel said, before when the masker comes when the masker comes to Bezdin by the Beis HaMerchatz in the 13th month, is talking about he came in the middle of the month Askinon. And that's why we divide it, meaning the seicha only has to pay half. But once it came in the beginning of the month, then the masker, the whole money has to go to the masker because it's he's the muksik, and at the end of the chaydish, the seicha already is the muksik. He already lived out the whole month. Doesn't have to give a penny. But Be'emes HaChidish, so half the month, the Seicha was a Mulsik, because he had already a half a month. The second half of the month, the mask is a Mulsik, he could throw him out. So here you see, it's Mitzad HaSafik, it's Mitzad HaSafik that we're dividing by the case of Masker. And if Shmuel goes to face Lashon Achrein, who cares if it's the middle month or the end of the month or the beginning of the month? If it's according to the last lashon, and the last lashon was that he's selling him one dinar per chaydesh, and the dinar per chaydesh means that if it's the 13th month, he has to pay in full. So that's it. He has to pay him regardless if he was there or not, because we face lashon achrein. Obviously, we're saying no. It's talking about b'emtzah chaydesh, and that's why we divide it. Because it's mesupik. Because we're mesupik. As only really the das of Shmuel is, like we said before, zoi v'loi svidalei. These are the words of bananas, but Shmuel doesn't hold like them, like him. We learned beferish Rav and Shmuel both said by the kur b'shleishim, a kur for 30 saw, and then he says saba salah. We say rishon kana. How could it be kainit? That means he's going after the last lashon. He says, "Awesome time of my day." The reason is mishum the toughest, because each one that he already took, he became a muchsik, and since he's a muchsik, he's kainet. It's a suffix. It's a suffix whether you typhus lashon achron or not. Hachanami on the toughest. Here also by the Kursh Leishim saw. He's talking about again that every saw is nikdas l'leikeach from when he did the Meshicha. Just like we said by the Masker, we said the first half of the month because he was there. The reason is he grabbed half of the schitas. Originally we thought the reason is because it was a suffix if you the Teifus Lashon Achrein or Teifus Lashon Ishin. So here he says no, we're not Teifus, it's a suffix. And there, the reason why in the middle of the Chedesh we're going to say each one gets half, because the Seicha had already half a month and he was a Musik. In the second half of the month, the Masker is throwing him out. So the Masker is the Musik. So too, by Kur B'Shleishim. And then he says, Saw B'Sela. So there, since the first ones he took, he was already a Musik. Therefore, he's Kainet. And you're not going to say Tafis Lashon Achron. Avuna said, others say in the base Medrash of Rav, it was said, Istra is 96 coins. Meyamai is 100 coins. So he first said Istra. If the Meicha set a price for Istra, and then he says Meya Moyes for a certain object, for the Lekech to buy. So the Lekech has to pay Meya Moye because that's the last lashon. What's if he said Meya Moye, 100 Moyes, and then he said Easter, which is 96? Then the Lekech only has to pay Easter 96. So you see, Teifa is lashon achrein. So the Gemara concluded that Shmuel doesn't hold like bananas, but the Gemara says, it brings down that by Rav does beferish hold you go like bananas. In fact, Gemara might kamash malan. What is Rav coming to teach us? Avuna coming to say, or in the yeshiva of Rav, that it was said, what are they coming to add? And they want to face lashon achrein that we are Teif is the last lashon. In fact, Gemara Amar Rav Chadazimin. Rav already said this once. Rav said, when they gave to the Merchatz in Tzipere, if I would have been there, B'Shas Ma'is, in front of Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, Rabbi Yosef, who said that you should divide it, I would have given everything to the masker because you chop on the last lashon. So you see that Rav holds like bananas that tough is lashon achrein. And when you want to tema, I would have said that shita of Rav, by Merchatz alone, I would have said that Rav would have given the whole Dmei Schiris. And it's not because he holds tough as Lashon Achrein like Menanes, only because he holds Parushik HaMefarish, that when he said that he's giving one dinner per Chedesh, he meant to say that normally when you pay 12, the whole amount at the end of the year, but now he said dinner b'chedesh. He wanted to say no, that you'll pay me monthly. So that we could have said it's parisha kamen farish. That's the explanation. But over here by Easter and Meir, there you can't say it's an explanation. Either it's 96 coins or it's 100 coins. So it's bestira. So since it's bestira. So here it's come to tell you that nevertheless we follow the Kamash Malan comes Avuna and he comes to teach us that this by Merchatz Rav gave the Dmei Schiris Lemasker, the full Dmei Schiris, is because he holds like bananas. And when the two Lashonos are contradictory, there I would have said that he retracted. The second one is the Ika, where you see Tafis Lashon Achrein. The second one is where you see the Ika that you Tafis Lashon Achrein. In the case of the Merchatz, I would have said the reason why Rav would have given him the whole Dmei Schiris Lemaske, it's not because you Tafis Lashon Achrein, like bananas, only because he holds that Parushik HaMefarish is coming to only explain the first Lashon with the second Lashon, not to be Bevatal it. If the Damascus set a price of Shnei Asa Zehuvim for the year, so he said that for this year, which is Amul Bedes, he added the word Dina Zav Lachedesh in order that he should be able to take for the extra month. So that could be a piddush on the extra month. I said it wrong. Again, not that he's coming to pay at the end of the for monthly instead of the end of the year. No, we can be mefarish that he said 12 zehuvim for the year, and now he says one zav lachedesh, really 12 zehuvim for a regular year. But since it was an Iba Yod, he wanted to emphasize Dina Zav Lachedesh, that for the Iba Yod you're going to pay an extra month. So that's where I would say that the Rav says you're tough as Lashon Achrein, because it's not a Lashon Achrein, it's a Pirush. Kamash Malan, even here where it's Saisa, because here first you say Easter, and then you say Mayim, which is 100, and Easter is 96. So he's come to teach us, even when they contradict, we're going to go according to the Lashon Achrein.